Hey guys! So I wanted to show something really quick. I hope you like my earrings. Um, Trish of Beanbag Hagwag, who lives here in St. Paul, sent me a package yesterday and she surprised me with these, which she had them on in one of her most recent videos, and I just said, oh, those are so pretty, and she got some for me, so that was really sweet. She also did, she painted me this really pretty picture of Freya, which I have right there for now to protect from feline creatures, as you probably just saw one of them right here. I'm gonna frame it, but it was funny because when I first opened this package and saw these, after initially being overjoyed and felt very loved, so thank you, Trish. I really appreciate it. My first initial thought was, oh, these are such beautiful earrings. I should wear them to Christmas Eve. And then I was like, oh no, wait, I probably shouldn't do that. And that's what this video is going to be about. So, as you know, it's the holiday season, and for many people, the holiday season is a great time. It's a very joyous, loving time, and for other people, it can be kind of complicated. Or it's both, in the case of me. This year is particularly tough, so I am doing my best to kind of deal with it, but I wanted to kind of make a video on how to help survive the holidays as a practicing pagan, because it can be particularly hard for us. Now, the majority of our country here in the United States celebrates Christmas. Christmas is I think it's honestly the most popular holiday in the whole year. And it's celebrated in so many different ways. And it can be celebrated secularly, which is how I was raised. My parents didn't raise me under any religion. There was no religious aspect to Christmas itself, or to some, it is a very holy day, and rightfully so. And then there's us pagans who either don't celebrate Christmas at all, or in the case of me, they do, but it's not spiritual. Like I said, it's secular. And for me, it's mostly because I'm trying to find that balance between keeping the traditions that I had as a child and building my own traditions now as an adult and a mother. And I think it's really hard to find that balance, especially when Christmas itself is so predominant in our society. And it's a wonderful holiday with wonderful lessons. But it's hard as a pagan because you feel like you sit in its shadow. And I think it's hard for us to try and find and build our own traditions, but at the same time, there's beauty in that. There's beauty in trying to build your own traditions, which is something that I've been working on over the last few years, last 4 specifically, since I became a mother, and how I want to celebrate the holidays with my children. Now, I've made my peace with the fact that no matter what I do, Christmas is going to have to be celebrated, and it should be, because my husband's family is Lutheran, and although my husband is not, and I obviously am not, and my children will not be raised Lutheran, I want them to have some exposure to it, because I feel like that's what breeds tolerance, is having exposure to different faiths. It's what helped me as a child. My parents basically said religion was a personal choice and that I could choose what I wanted when I was old enough to make that decision. And I find that to be very helpful for kids because it keeps the pressure off of them. But at the same time, I think it would be easier if I did not have any spiritual beliefs myself, because I want mine to be recognized in the eyes of my children, but I have to tread that very thin line of making them aware of it, but making sure that they don't feel pressured, and just kind of taking it as This is what mom believes. You don't have to believe it, but this is what mom believes. And the other thing that I kind of felt that might be enjoyable for my kids at this age is teaching them magic, in the sense of trying to teach them that there is magic in the world and trying to play on a child's imagination. So that's why I've introduced the idea of Santa to them, but I'm still kind of working out the kinks of how I want to do this. But obviously we have a big family gathering that we go to, and because I am here in Minnesota and my family is my Washington, it is my Washington, let's face it. My family is out in Washington. We don't go out there for the holidays because it's just too much money to fly back and forth, and it's too difficult to travel with young kids over the holidays. It's just not something that we do. So we spend the holidays here in Minnesota, and we basically just do Skype calls with my family. But that means that I am attending my husband's family gatherings, which are very Lutheran, and the thing that I have always done is I've never hid who I was, but I didn't broadcast it either. No one has ever yet asked me anything outright, which is interesting. So I wear, for instance, I don't know if you guys can see it, but the necklace that I generally have on, I have a different one on today. This is my little moon that I got from Mooncrafted Essentials. But I still wear my jewelry to Christmas Eve. I was just wondering about this, like, what sort of statement would that make, and do I really care? I'm still deciding. But at the same time, I'm the type of person where I am not going to be combative about it, because that's not who I am. And I kind of want to give you guys a little bit of tips on how to deal with family during the holiday season. I mean, lots of people dread family gatherings. Me as an introvert personally, I do. I can manage my way around it, but by the time it's over, I'm exhausted. So it's hard for me, and it's hard for me being in basically someone else's realm where I am in a Christian setting as a pagan, and it's always felt a bit strange to me, because I basically have to be calm and collective and respectful, which I would never be anything but I think it's also important when you're having, oh, there goes my ring light. I guess we'll just charge that. Sorry guys, lighting just went crappy. I think it's important to have those boundaries if you're discussing topics that you don't particularly want to discuss. Be respectful and be firm in your resolve, but at the same time, politely decline anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. Excuse yourself from the conversation. I've done this many times, and thankfully most of the time I haven't been actively involved in the conversation, so I can just kind of slip out of the room. And those of my husband's family who know what I believe and know who I am always kind of notice it. They're like, oh, there's Dana. She must be uncomfortable. Yeah. So it's important to set those boundaries. It's important to take time to care for yourself and your feelings in something like this. But it's also important to respect other people's beliefs as well. Now, a perfect example of that is that my husband's family, of course, there's always a prayer. And I'm not going to lie to them. I'm not going to pray to a God that I don't work with. So what I do is I just stand there quietly and respectfully during prayer, because there's no reason to make a scene. There's no reason to be disrespectful. And I feel like tolerance breeds tolerance. So the more that you project that you're here to support them through their beliefs, hopefully, if they are a decent person, they will return the same favor. And that, hopefully we can get to a point where we just ask questions and learn from each other. That's always been my hope. And I have reached that with some of my husband's family. Like I said, most of them have not asked me questions. but there are a few who, as soon as they've gotten closer and comfortable enough, they have. And I want people to ask me questions. I want to have a civilized discussion about the differences between the two beliefs. I want to learn from those who believe differently than I do, because I have a general curiosity. But family gatherings can be exhausting, especially for those who don't have that same mind frame that I do, that don't have that same outlook where they have that curiosity. They just want to be combative. And that's where, like I said, you need to set up boundaries. You need to excuse yourself. You need to be firm in your resolve and basically say, you know what, I don't want to continue this conversation right now unless it's going to be a respectful discussion. Because the thing that I was raised to believe when it comes to the holidays is that it's a time to spend with those who love you. And I think that sunk in some as a child, but as I got older, it started to sink in more, to the point where I started to understand that I completely underestimate the impact that I have on others. I think that no one could ever worry for me, or pray for me, or have me cross their mind, or maybe have something that I said resonate with them. I just don't think that this is something that I can do. And then I'm starting to understand that it is. So I think that has power to it, in its sense that you are among people who do care for you, unless you really have a very toxic family situation, and that's something completely different. But in the case of my husband's family, yes, I'm married in, and I'm so very different from most of them. But these are people who have been concerned for me. These are people who have asked me if they could pray for me, and I have welcomed it because it's come from a good place. And this is not the type of condescending, you believe something that I don't, so I'm going to pray for you to save your soul. This is a, we see that you're struggling, so we are going to pray for you. Or when my son was born suddenly and prematurely, I know that they prayed for me. And they prayed for him, and they prayed for us, because he sat in that hospital for a whole month, and almost over Christmas, and over Thanksgiving. So I missed out on family gatherings, and it was a very well-known thing that this is what was going on. So I know that they have prayed for me, and it's come from a good, loving place. This is not always the case for everybody. Like I said, if you have a toxic family situation, then that is a situation where you need to recognize that and set up your boundaries and take that time for yourself. If you realize that this is not okay, if something doesn't feel right, listen to your gut and remove yourself from the situation. Protect yourself. Even protect yourself magically if you must. But there are many little things that we can do to set up boundaries. It's hard to deal with family during the holidays. It's hard even with the simple questions of, what are you doing with your life? Why aren't you with someone? Why are you single? Or why haven't you had kids? Or everybody always wants to ask those kinds of intrusive questions. And I think for the most part, people don't realize that those are intrusive questions. Especially, I think it's those questions are more of the norm for people who are not of the generation that I am. As you guys know, and most of the people that watch my channel, I imagine, I'm a millennial. I was born in '86, so I don't hold the 1950s standards, and I feel like my parents' generation, those questions were asked more commonly, and they weren't perceived as intrusive, where they have now become intrusive, because it's honestly nobody's business. And they, like I said, they might be asking out of love, they might be asking out of curiosity. So try to roll with the conversation a little bit and come at it from a place of love. But if you're finding yourself feeling uncomfortable, then, like I said, put up those boundaries. But the thing that I'm also wanting to kind of put out there is that that whole, this is a whole nother topic, but I have to kind of slide it in here a little bit. The whole war on Christmas thing, obviously I clearly don't believe that. I say happy holidays to anybody because I don't know what you believe, and I want to be respectful of that. But the thing that I want to make clear is that there are certain people out there who do feel that what you do is their business and that they should be offended by it. And those are the people that you definitely want to kind of shield yourself from and remove yourself from. And you can usually sense who they are. Watch their body language when you're talking to them. Listen to their tone. If they start to get agitated or fidgety, you can usually tell that they are uncomfortable with the conversation and that they most likely could potentially get combative, or maybe in the sense it's completely a different situation and they are not offended by what you're saying, and maybe they're just uncomfortable for some other reason. But it's hard because whenever I talk about this stuff, I try to cover all angles because I know I'm going to get a comment where someone's like, but what if this? And it's like, I am terrible at arguing, by the way, guys. I'm awful at it, and I don't like doing it. Sensitive. But I'm hoping this video makes sense. I'm hoping that I can kind of help you guys set those boundaries and relish in your own beliefs as well. Yes, of course, we've covered keeping the boundaries and seeking tolerance and having civil discussions and removing yourself from the conversation if you deem so fit. But relish in who you are too. Make your own traditions and celebrate your solstice. I can distinctly remember one holiday gathering. My brother-in-law, who is a Christian, by the way, I think I've mentioned him a little bit on this channel before. He is an amazing person and super supportive of me. He's always like, I got you, girl, I got your back. But there was this one holiday gathering where in the middle of the room, he loudly goes, so Dana, how was winter solstice? And I'm like, watch, that's going to be the freeze frame that YouTube picks. I was like, it's good. It was good. But I didn't know what to do. But at the same time, I appreciated it because he was supporting me and he was trying to just bring in what I believe too to the table and have it be in a place of love and acceptance as well. And I love that because I don't have the courage to do that kind of stuff. Like, I'm shy, I'm sensitive, I don't engage in conversations in family gatherings. I have people come up and engage in me. That's how I am. It's mostly because that's how I set my boundaries. But I still appreciated it, and it was amazing because nobody said anything negative. Everybody just was like, they didn't really respond, and I just was like, it was really good. So, you know, not everybody has people like that, though, that fight for them and have got their back. And I'm sorry if you don't, but I do. I mean, I do for you. Like, I've got you. So I hope that I hope that this was helpful in some way in how to deal with family during the holidays and how to set those boundaries and keep your beliefs in a good space, I guess is the best way to put it. I wanted this to be more articulate, but let's face it, that's what I say about every single video of mine because I'm pretty convinced I'm not articulate. But I had just been randomly inspired to make this, so I kind of just decided to go for it, throw it out there. We're coming up on this next week is all going to be all those family gatherings and everything's going to be happening, so I was kind of hoping the timing would help too for you guys. And winter solstice is on Friday. The day after, we have a full moon in Cancer. It's going to be a strong one, guys. And for your Cancerian moon here, I'm screwed. Like, I'm going to be feeling all the feels, and it's not going to be fun. I've already been feeling all the feels, so this is going to probably send me into some crazy overdrive. But it's some potent energy, so take advantage of that. Celebrate your solstice. I, for one, hope to cook a meal. I hope to let my kids open one gift, because that's the tradition that I want to start doing. I was thinking about making ice luminaries. I've done that once before, but I don't think it's going to be cold enough this winter solstice. It's actually in the 40s right here today in Minnesota, which is a little different, but December can be that. It's either in the 40s or it's in the negatives, so it just depends. I hope to do a ritual. I'm still kind of ironing out all of my planning for that. And then I have a lot of goals for 2019 that I would love to make a video on. I've never really been one for New Year's resolutions, but suddenly this year I'm all in. So I'd love to do that too. Maybe inspire you guys. I'll probably do that one after the holiday season and right before New Year's. But and then the other thing I wanted to say is that I wanted to do a winter solstice wreath. But It's just, I don't think I really have the funds to do it this year, so if I do end up doing it, then I will definitely do a video and walk you guys through how I'm going to make it. I really, really want to do it, but we'll see how it goes. You know, we have to buy some gifts and do all that stuff this week, so anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope that your week treats you well. You might see me a little bit again before winter solstice. I actually might do something special in solstice. Just depends on what's going on. I'm either contemplating a few more videos on the topic, or maybe even a live on solstice, if anyone's interested. I'm not sure yet. We'll just kind of see. I'm in the rough planning stage still. I'm going to sit down tonight and work on some art projects and plan out my ritual and get all that stuff going. But I hope this video was helpful. Sorry that my ring light sucks, and sorry for my lack of words some days. I think I was a little bit more articulate this time, but one day I'll do a video that's absolutely freaking flawless. Anyway, blessed be, guys. Hope you're well.